Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and I've got a question for you. What comes to mind when you hear the word debanking? I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, right? Woke banks are increasingly closing the accounts of patriots all around the globe. Debanking is one of the most pernicious forms of persecution that the establishment uses against dissidents worldwide. One of the more prominent of recent victims of this new trend in cancel culture was the Brexit hero Nigel Farage. He was debanked in the UK. We saw it with the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa. Many of them saw their bank accounts frozen. And of course, patriots all across America have experienced this Orwellian phenomenon as well. And I know many of you are very concerned about this, and you're looking for a good, well-established bank that provides a financial haven, as it were, a shelter from all of this woke insanity. Well, guess what? It's here. My guest today is Eric Olhausen, co-founder and CSO of Old Glory Bank, a super patriotic bank dedicated to protecting and defending faith, family, freedom, and finance. And Eric's here to share with us how we all can protect ourselves and our loved ones from this pernicious practice of woke debanking. So, Eric, welcome. It is an honor and a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your interest in what we're doing and so glad to be talking to you.
Oh, I'm telling you, the pleasure is all mine because this is such a huge issue. It's one of the more, we were talking about this before the interview, it's one of the more common questions I get whenever we're talking about building a parallel economy. You know, people always ask, where can I find a good, solid, conservative bank? And it's only gotten worse, you know. I mean, I'm very curious. In your opinion, what on earth is going on with banks today? It's not just the debanking, you know. I mean, we had Bank of America a couple of years back turning over private customer data to federal authorities on people who had not even been accused of any crime. I think Tucker Carlson was basically calling him an intelligence. They were acting like an intelligence agency. You got Citibank pushing gun control measures and all this sort of stuff. Why are banks going woke?
You could certainly point to a number of factors. Certainly the virtue signaling is one. There's also listening to vocal minority of employees sometimes, or shareholders, as you sometimes see even in other industries outside of banking, like Disney perhaps,
Right.
you know, overreacting to maybe pleasing certain crowds. You know, we certainly wish it weren't the case, but we did recognize it's an important role for a bank to step up to fill. And we certainly at Old Glory Bank are a solution for people who, first of all, looking for an FDIC insured bank, because not all financial services you see online are. A lot of them are challenger banks, they're referred to as, or neobanks, and they have a partner behind the scenes who's the actual bank. That works for some targeted financial services. For ours, we felt to truly honor our promise to our customers that we won't cancel them for what industry they operate in or their public statements or views. We had to have the autonomy of actually being a bank. You know, we're also building a passion brand. You know, we stand for Middle America. We're a pro-America bank. We promote Middle American values of love of country, of support for the military and first responders, and respect for the flag. And I think you combine those factors, a lot of people clear across the country, because we're an online solution, fully digital online banking, mobile banking, have opened accounts clear across the country, every state in the union. We're a solution, really, I would think, for any of your listeners, of any friends of your listeners looking for a financial home.
Old Glory Bank is actually, as I understand, in terms of the backstory, it's actually a rather old bank, right? It's been around for decades, and you guys, you took it over. Is that what's
many decades?
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
The bank was actually established in 1903. It
Wow.
goes back 120 years. It's an Oklahoma bank. It was founded actually prior to Oklahoma even becoming a state. It was the territory of Oklahoma until 1907.
Wow.
A group of like-minded folks, motivated by the the principles I just described and mentioned, decided a couple years ago and that this was a need in the market. And so we looked for banks, set out to find a bank to purchase and then rebrand. We looked to Oklahoma for us for a number of ways. It really, in our eyes, represented Middle America, not just geographically representative of Middle America, but also culturally. Yeah. A wonderful state. And we found a bank, First State Bank of Elmore City, located, has one physical location. But what we did is, after we closed on the purchase of the bank last November, we layered what we call a digital branch on top of it, and have the full functionality. I've been in the financial services industry for several decades, have banked with large banks, have worked at large banks. We have every bit of technology that I would put ours up against any big bank, as far as everything that you might hope to be able to do digitally, and with an FDIC insured institution, and that also promotes a lot of the ideals that certainly appeal to our customers.
Absolutely. So you're in Oklahoma, but your clientele is all over the nation.
Literally every state in the nation. In the past few months when we started, again, it's a 120-year-old bank, but only for about 3 to 4 months that we've been opening accounts on a national basis with the technology that every state's represented.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And I think when I was doing some research and I was listening to older interview you did, it is interesting. We used to be united by proximity back in the day, but now with the network society and the internet and so forth, we're actually more united by values. It's not so much an issue of spatial connection. It's much
That's
more
right.
it's much more of an issue of these shared timeless values that bring us together.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, when we first brought the ideas together, and my partners and I, it goes back to some conversations just a couple of years ago, really recognized that there was just people, and we felt half the country, and it really spans the political spectrum. We really don't look at it as a left-right issue, because you would like to think that love of country and pride in your flag and support of your military and first responders and so forth, you would hope those are unifying principles across the country, and that's certainly
you would hope they're pre-political, right?
That's right. And quite frankly, a lot of those historically were, the classical definition of liberalism in right. terms of individual rights and freedoms and so forth. So, but we did feel that, in our eyes, at least half the country was just tired of being beaten down, tired of being criticized for holding traditional values, tired of seeing the flag denigrated and the police criticized and vilified for doing their jobs. And so we do feel we've got a very unifying brand that is speaking to a lot of folks. And the expression we use is that people will come to Old Glory Bank for the brand, but stay for the technology.
Love it. The user interface. So anyone, anywhere in the United States can open up an account with you.
Yes, absolutely. And business, not just consumer. We have business banking as well. Credit cards are being introduced in just a couple of weeks as well.
Oh,
payment
wow.
devices. So really a completely full service financial institution for both consumers and businesses.
Yeah, that's another big, those two things you just mentioned are also big issues, credit cards and payment processors. So those are in the works as well.
That's right. A product we call Old Glory Pay, which currently is available on a peer-to-peer basis. So, consumers making payments, whether to family or friends, Old Glory Bank customer to Old Glory Bank customer. We have a phenomenal app, Old Glory Pay, and soon we'll be introducing the payments person to merchant, so that merchants who are concerned, and there are quite a few of them, you mentioned this in your introductory overview here, that businesses are very fearful and because maybe they're in an industry that's not top of mind for big banks, maybe oil and gas, firearms, or just small merchants that really want to push back on the fact that PayPal's of the world and Stripes of the world are trying to pick winners and losers as to who gets to participate in America's financial system. So that's a really powerful tool that we'll be introducing, where merchants online and down the road physically in shops, but be able to accept payment by customers using Old Glory Pay, a cancel-proof PayPal, we're calling it.
Love it, absolutely love it, and the need is very, very much the case here. You have some rather prominent board members, if I recall correctly, don't you? I think our audience would know some names there.
Sure. Happy to tell you that. Pretty early on, as we started talking among a broader audience of what we were doing here, we did attract the attention of some very prominent individuals, Secretary Ben Carson, Larry Elder, Governor Mary Fallon Christensen, who was a two-term governor of Oklahoma. And of course, since we are looking to Oklahoma, that made a lot of sense. Bill Shine, who was with Fox News, was actually co-president of Fox News and then deputy chief of staff of the previous administration. All recognized that what we were doing. Country music singer John Rich, singer and entrepreneur. The first individuals I mentioned were all on our board. John Rich is a prominent spokesperson for Old Glory Bank, and I think when you look at that group, all people who historically looked to political channels, maybe not so much John Rich, but the others looked to political channels to achieve certain goals in life for the country. They saw in Old Glory Bank a market-based solution to fulfill and drive towards some of those outcomes of promoting love of country and respect for individual rights and freedom of speech. So we're really excited to have them associated with Old Glory Bank.
Yeah, and it's so true what you're saying there. I mean, it's just, it almost seems ridiculously obvious, but you can't build a parallel economy. You can't build any economy, social media, businesses, schools, job finding sites. You can't build it without access to capital. If you don't have access to banks and loans and financing and the like, forget it. You're not even going to leave the starting gate. How do you see this fascinating sort of parallel world of banking affecting the overall parallel economy and culture war in this country in the foreseeable future?
Tough to look out in the future, but I would say we feel we have had to build in order to deliver on what we saw as a need in the marketplace. We had to build, you could call it a parallel financial infrastructure, certainly a closed loop payment system in with regard to Old Glory Pay. Out of necessity, because many of the key players, many of the large banks and technology solutions were picking winners and losers and who they felt could participate in the financial system. That being said, one of our mottos is we stand with you no matter where you stand, and in that regard, we really are more of a as inclusive as could be is really our goal. The whole mission here was to take politics out of banking, not in just the belief that businesses, banks, you name it, should not be in the business of taking positions on controversial issues and just what's the point of that, and really in our case trying to be as inclusive as possible. So long as you're lawfully operating as a business or an individual, you are welcome to be a customer of Old Glory Bank, free of any concern of being turned off and have your accounts closed because of what you believe in or where you operate.
Yeah, and you look at people like Bill Maher or Piers Morgan and so forth, guys who position themselves on the political left, and their calls to cancel them because they despise all things woke. Wokeness is interesting because it really does split the left. It's very interesting. It splits the left and it unites the right. So we have the studies on that. You ask any, do you support any woke issue, whatever it is? Half the left says yes, half the left says no. All the right says no, obviously. Hell no for that matter, you know? Yeah. So you're definitely, I mean, this is something that's every bit as inclusive for a lot of disaffected people on the left who just want liberty. And they're actually in many ways just classic liberals, as you were saying at the beginning. And it is amazing how just the commitment to patriotism, to faith, to family, and the like they are the prerequisites to liberty. That's the beauty of it. That's they want to say we're the ones that want to shove our morality down your throat, when in point of fact, it's the exact opposite. I think it's just projection. So tell us, where can we find out more? And I know there's lots of people in the audience right now who are all set. Sign me up. I want to switch over to Old Glory Bank. What give us a little bit of a sense of what they can do right now.
Sure. No, whether on your phone or at your desktop, we welcome anyone interested to learn about Old Glory Bank. It's a fully functioning, full-serviced FDIC insured bank. Businesses and consumers. Any social media outlet, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, YouTube. You can follow, learn about us, see videos we've put out describing our products and services and our just the general branding. But we welcome anyone at Old Glory Bank. And please tell friends. If you're a customer already, please tell friends and family. That's certainly led to a lot of great market reception for us, and we certainly appreciate everyone's support.
Absolutely. And we're going to include a link down below as well, gang. Just go to the description below, click on that link, and break free from the woke world of Wall Street banks. So it's starting to count with good old Glory Bank today. They're amazing. I couldn't recommend a company more. Eric Olhausen, God bless you in your work, and thank you so much for this much-needed service to so many. You guys are amazing, and you have our full endorsement. We love you.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. We sure appreciate your support and interest.
Thank you so much, Eric.